And so you print up posters of these people that have chosen to be outlaws. You distribute it all over so nobody will do business with them because you know that they're not folks that respect people's rights. And you don't have any protection of the court. If somebody cuts your thumbs off and makes a necklace, this court's not going to help you, you know? And that's outlawry. And you know what? Nobody chooses outlawry. We've even got the situation in Fairbanks where you've got the political law court, statutory court, overlapping with the common law court, where people could say, well, I'm going to thumb my nose at your common law court, and I'm going to rely on the political court to protect me. They don't even do that because they want to have good social standing. And you also tell them, well, you know, when it hits the fan, and we've all talked about it hitting the fan, this protection will go away for you, and it'll be open season on you, and there's no coming back and regaining your legal standing. So you'd better, if you're going to function in a civil society, you'd better get on the ball and do it right now. And they say, okay. Now this process, this common law process, as opposed to the political law process, is redemptive all around. The woman whose house got broke into, she's redeemed. It's all put back. It's back how it used to be. Nobody bore the burden except the one who made the offense. So it didn't victimize all the taxpayers in the process. And most importantly, the ones who committed the crime, the one who violated the rights of others, redeems themselves by making restitution and walks out of that court and walks away from having made that restitution with a new opportunity. It's redemptive. It's restoration. People know in their heart that this is good. And this is what's guaranteed to us. Now, for those of you who are thinking, well, he lost me at the court, all right? It is guaranteed to us in the 7th Amendment. This was great. The DA came to our last meeting, and he's like, well, the Constitution doesn't allow for common law. And I was like, well, law school doesn't allow for the Constitution, apparently, because the 7th Amendment says, in suits at common law, where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States other than according to the rules of common law. This is a constitutional right for a common law proceedings that is just as important for us to protect as our Second Amendment right. Actually, we don't have any constitutional rights. We only have two. The only two constitutional rights we have. You like that? Good, you can clap. And we don't need their permission or blessing to do it. We don't need their permission or blessing to do it. That's the key point. So anyway, that's how the common law court is working. How do we select juries? Totally random. You send a couple of guys out there with a summons. You say, you've been randomly selected for jury duty. We're not going to force you, but you get paid an ounce of silver an hour if you want to come down and sit on this jury on a Thursday night. And most people say, okay, I'll do that, you know. And the compulsory process for, well, we're getting into the minutia. I've been talking with some other people about how you could maybe make one of these around here, because it's beautiful. And when this whole thing, this whole joke of government that we have right now comes crumbling down, we want to have something, because I'm afraid of tyranny of the mob, you know, because that's just as bad. And anarchy and tyranny of the mob is just, anarchy and tyranny of the mob are kind of different, but tyranny of the mob is just as bad as tyranny of the elite, because they're faceless. And we have a duty to protect some sort of order, even if it is just amongst ourselves. So that's how the common law court is working. And then the next thing that we did is we created a militia. Everybody kind of a little bit timid about that, you know. But you know what? One thing that we went over and I know I'm going over. I'm here. I'm going to wrap up real quick. One thing that we went over at Continental Congress is that the states are in violation of the Second Amendment because of our absence of citizens' militias. And that's nobody's responsibility but our own. That's our own fault. And so we created a militia. And there are 3,500 armed, well-trained men under my command in Fairbanks right now. And they are rip-roaring, ready to go. They're able to speak to the government in their language, which we hope won't have to happen. But you know what the militia is? The militia is anybody with a gun and a conscience. It's anybody who values their freedom and the freedom of their neighbor. It's somebody who's got that sense of duty to their fellow countrymen. It's beautiful and it's right and it's good. And we ought not to hide from it. We ought not to let the media, scare us out of that. All the founding fathers said that was the only place that was safe for military force. Because every man who's in the militia is restrained by his own conscience. It's a little harder to do that in a conscripted army where when you say march, they go or they throw you in the brig. In the militia, if I give an order, if I say go do this, it's only followed congruent upon their conscience. It's not a command control structure. It's a command suggest. It's a command information. It's here's what's happening. Here's what we're going to do. Here's why this compels our conscience to do this. If your conscience compels you, follow this order. That's what that is. If your conscience compels you to do what's right here and to defend your neighbor or whatever, then do that. It's like having 3,500 checks and balances on the commander, which you don't necessarily have in the current military structure. Definitely not on blue helmets, but let's not even go there. All right, so that's the militia. Now here's what we've got in Alaska. What we did, instead of trying to create a third party, we made a second government. How do you like that? Now here's the distinction, okay? First let me tell you the three parts. There's the judicial, which we talked about. There's the militia, and there's the executive. The executive is the go-to guy. He's the gripe receiver. The judicial, protects the rights of all and helps defend people's rights. And the militia is force, to stop people that would destroy that. That's all the Israelites had. They had the Levites as their courts. They had Moses as their executive, and every man carried a sword. And I would pitch this idea to you that maybe, just maybe, anything beyond those three is just a tool of tyranny. That's all you really need to protect the rights of free people. You don't really need any more than that. And I'm afraid that anything beyond that might just be a means for a few to dominate the many, which is what we're all sick of. That's why we're here in this warehouse talking about how to stop that. Now let me give you a couple words of caution about this, creating this system, because other folks have done it before. It cannot be created in order to attack or antagonize the existing government. Let them crap in their own nest and bring themselves down under their own power. We're not there to do that to them. All right? But as it comes to the surface that they're a freaking joke, here's an alternative. It's putting a little bit of free market action into the political arena, the governmental arena. The other thing that it can't be is a clique of a few hardcore freedom lovers, because that's kind of self-centered. It's got to be something that is a widespread rising tide culturally. You have to win the hearts and minds of your community. You have to win the respect of people. And that's what this common law court is doing. We're not taking any cases with indictments against government. We're just building respect. We're just having it become, more and more accepted, more and more cherished by the people, because they know that they can't get justice from a legal system. Legal system's not too concerned with justice. The idea that you don't have anything to worry about if you're innocent is laughable. That's a joke. Everybody knows that that's not true. So